Just don't mind me doing my hair as you get logged in. I've literally just come out of a group client session, so running a couple of minutes late and realised that I probably look like a dog's dinner as well, and I've just hit live and not even thought to look in the mirror. Hey ho. I've been away. You might notice, you might not, but there's been no live for the last 2 weeks. I've been on holiday, had a lovely time. I didn't go anywhere. We just we stayed in Spain for a couple of weeks. Didn't go anywhere different. Hello. Yeah, let me know who's there. Say hello. Hey Carolyn. Hey Anita. So if you're watching live, let me know you're watching live by saying that you're live. And if you're watching on replay, tell me that as well, because it's interesting to know. My first live. Hey Hannah, how you doing? Hey Carrie, I've missed you too. I've missed you all. I'm back hard hitting tonight. I bet it doesn't, Rochelle. I bet it doesn't. I'm glad people noticed that I'd gone missing. I didn't think I told you I was going missing actually. I just kind of went. But it was lovely. We had a proper relax, and you'll say I'm indoors because it's now obviously 9 o'clock as normal, and normally I'm outside doing the live, missed the lives. Oh, it's so nice to be missed. Thank you guys. Normally outside, hey B, and it's dark already, so I can't do that. Summer's well and truly over, and autumn or fall, depending on where you're from, is drawing in. So hard hitting tonight. I am going to be probably offending some people with what I've got to say tonight, but I've never let fear of causing offence get in the way of the truth, and I'm not about to start now. So if I offend you tonight, sorry, not sorry. This is my truth, and it's never meant with offence, but I will also never change my philosophies, what I believe, what I know to be true, or sugarcoat anything for the sake of just not offending, or, you know, might rattle the cages of the wrong people and then miss the opportunity to help the right people. I'm not about that. So I'm going to be dropping some truth bombs tonight, and I'm going to be sharing really honestly and real. I honestly think the fucking business world's gone mad, and that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Why I think the business world's gone mad, how I think you can have the edge, and following a really simple system that is literally as easy as ABC, and it's my ABC system for building businesses. I'm going to share that with you tonight for free. And yeah, some things I say you might not like, but you know what? I'm all right with that. Can't wait for your honesty. So start by, here's what I want to know. Be honest, who agrees with me when I say we're living in a really funny time, a time where anything's possible for sure, and I believe that, a time where it's never been easier to have success, it's never been easier to create outrageous amounts of profit quicker than ever. We're just living in that age. Who agrees with that? Comment below if you agree that that's what's possible right now. I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? I mean, we've never had more opportunity when it comes to social media, technology, all these things that just make it possible now for normal people like me and you to create pretty extraordinary success. Just type I agree if you agree with that. But I also think that the business world off the back of that has gone fucking crazy. Literally, it's gone mental with unrealistic views on what's possible in certain time frames with certain activities, and we've kind of lost sense of reality a little bit. I believe the world's lost sense of reality a little bit when it comes to this, and I'll give you some examples of what I'm trying to say. But this all came off the back of someone said to me while I was on holiday, I was chatting to someone, and they said to me, what would you say, Michelle, has given you the edge? Where a lot of people have failed in building a successful coaching business, or even just being a successful entrepreneur in the online space, even being a successful woman in business, where a lot of people have failed, given up, What do you think has given you the edge? And I didn't even have to think about it. You know when you just shock yourself a little bit and it kind of just flows? Didn't really think, didn't hesitate, and I just said, well, it's just my ability to stay relatively normal in a world that's gone absolutely crazy with unrealistic expectations and some pretty odd business practices. I've just managed to stay super normal with all that chaos. And I honestly believe that if everyone who wants success can manage to just stay relatively normal and stay grounded and realistic a little bit, then they'll have the edge over most people that are trying to build a business right now. Whether they be people coming out of school that think they're going to make $1 million as a blogger because they've posted one YouTube video, whether they be people coming out of university that because they're decent looking think they're going to post a few images on Instagram, become an influencer and earn their first $1 million, whether they be people coming out of the corporate world thinking that they can make absolutely zero sacrifice, have time with the children, still go out with their friends all the time, work part-time hours and earn more than they ever did in a job with no business experience and no help. Whether it's any of those things, it's just not realistic. And if we can just be realistic and stick to some of the good old-fashioned principles of what it actually takes to be successful and build a business, then you stand a fighting chance of having the edge across your competitors. Because the world right now, I don't know if you've noticed, is just fucking full of smokes and mirrors when it comes to business. If you're a CEO, an entrepreneur that is scrolling through Facebook, you will have been targeted either by ads or by people that you know, or maybe it's on Instagram or another platform that you use. You'll have seen the sort of things that I'm talking about. Claims that you can earn your first $1 million in 5 minutes with a click of a few buttons and no ad spend. Or claiming that you can launch a business from scratch that's born from your passions and be in joy and balance and calm and never experience burnout with zero marketing. It makes my toes curl because it's bullshit. And I'll call bullshit when I see bullshit, not for my sake, but for your sake. If you're someone that's like me, and that when I started a business, I just wanted to start a business and I wanted it to work, and I was prepared to do whatever it took to make it work, but I just wanted someone to show me what it actually took. There's far too many people out there right now claiming that if you just burn some sage, meditate, and sprinkle fairy dust on your computer, that everything's going to be okay. And that we're now suddenly living in an age where hard work counts for nothing, dedication counts for nothing, and we just need to be chanting to the moon instead. I'm not saying for 1 minute that manifestation, law of attraction, lots of spiritual practices, these don't give you the edge. They do give you the edge. Of course they give you the edge. They can help you to enhance your ability to succeed. But without actual good old-fashioned business practices, processes, numbers, policies, dedication, all the old-fashioned stuff that the world would have you think has gone out of fashion, with some of the bloody stuff I see show up on my newsfeed, all that stuff is what really counts. And then you can sprinkle your fairy dust on it after, but we need to be realistic. So that's really what I want to talk to you about tonight. Some things to just really avoid and watch out for, some things to not buy into, but also what to do instead that will, I promise you, give you the edge. So here's some things that you might have heard said, or have even said yourself. And I'm sorry if I'm all up in your face because you've said some of these things tonight, but if I make you think and help put you on the right path to building the business and life that you really, really, really want, then I don't mind if I offend you a little bit by helping you get there, because sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes you've got to shock people into change. This might be your wake-up call if you've said some of these things. So who's heard, be honest, who's heard this or said this? You don't have to say if you've heard it or said it, but just say, yes, been there, or yes, heard it, if you don't mind. You don't have to get involved, but I'd love you to if you don't mind. Who's heard someone say, or collective people saying, it just stopped being fun? So when it stops being fun, it's time to do something else. Or it wasn't fun anymore, so I gave it up. Or it just doesn't feel fun anymore, so I think I need to feel called to do something else. Look, it's a bit of a reality check. Business isn't always fun. It can totally be enjoyable for the most part. And you should absolutely be having some fun and enjoying your work somewhere. But it's not always fun. Sometimes it's really shit. And sometimes you have to deal with conflict. And sometimes you have to deal with people that you don't like very much. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions and pull your big girl pants up and be a CEO. And that ain't always fun. But if you quit every time it stops being fun, you're going to be quitting way too soon every time. Because successful people don't quit when it stops being fun. They deal with the challenges that are coming up. We can't just quit and change direction every time life throws us a curveball, or else you'll be a starter and not a finisher. I'm not saying that you can't quit. If something over a prolonged period of time is not a fit for you anymore, then it's okay to move on. I'm not saying it's not okay to move on, but you know what I would say? Never move on until you have succeeded. Never move on until you have conquered. Because if you move on without winning, then you've basically just give up. And that's not okay. I don't know about you, but I was taught from a very young age that you never give up. You never ever give up. You don't quit. You don't quit on yourself. You don't quit on your dreams. I've moved on throughout my career as an entrepreneur and a business owner. Of course I have, but only when I've nailed it. When I've nailed it and gone, right, I've succeeded at this and I feel proud of that and it's time to evolve, fair enough, let's evolve. But don't quit because things are hard. Don't quit before you're successful yet. Don't change direction before you've even built any sort of momentum, because it doesn't make sense. That's a habit that you'll develop and you'll keep going through. The same people quit things, don't finish things, start something else, quit, don't finish, start something else. It's the same people that do that constantly. Don't quit until you succeed. How many times have you heard someone say, I only do things in ease and flow. If it feels too difficult, then it obviously isn't right. Therefore, I don't do it. Sometimes you can do things from ease and flow. Sometimes you are in flow and everything just feels like it's working out for you. Other times you feel like shit and things feel hard. And when things are outside of your comfort zone, you experience resistance. When you're scared to do something or of something, whether that be success or failure or something else, it doesn't feel in ease and flow. Sometimes you have to grit our teeth and do things anyway. So if you're only ever going to do things in ease and flow, then you're never going to grow, and you're definitely never going to grow a business. So just call bullshit on that when you say it or when you hear somebody else saying it, because it's not always true. We can be in flow. We can be operating from an inspired, motivated, productive place most of the time, but not all of the time. And if when something feels hard, you don't ask yourself, does this feel hard because I'm frightened? Does this feel hard because I'm reaching an upper limit? Does this feel hard because I'm outside of my comfort zone? Does this feel hard for something else? But if you're just like, oh, this doesn't feel great, I'm going to do something else that feels good, you'll only ever get so far. And that's the truth. How many times have you heard someone say, I need some time to really feel into this, connect with it and meditate on it before I can make a decision or take action? That's just procrastination dressed up as spiritual shit. Like, I am deeply spiritual. I have my spiritual practices. You know that if you followed me for a while. A large part of my success has come from a mixture of two things. One, it's come from no bullshit action, what I'm sharing with you tonight. And two, it's come from being able to connect with that part of myself that knows what's right for me. But never, ever have I procrastinated on taking action or making a decision because I've had to go and check in with myself for a week before I do it. You might need to take an hour to journal on a decision. You might need to feel into a fear that you're having, so you go for a run to get it out your system before you... But never should we be saying to ourselves, I know I need to do some deep inner work before I commit to that. If the deep inner work is stopping you from taking action, then it's an excuse dressed up as deep inner work. It's procrastination dressed up as deep inner work. Let me go meditate and get back to you. Doesn't it just drive you wild when people say that? It really, really aggravates me because I know that that's bullshit, that you're allowing yourself to believe, and it's another form of self-sabotage. I'm not saying meditation's not important before anybody jumps down my throat. I'm not saying that it's not important to understand yourself, listen to yourself, be guided by your inner thoughts and know your own mind. I'm not saying that. It is important, but not at the cost of taking action. How many times, seriously, have you known an employer of a job that you've worked at to be okay with the fact that you've called them? Think back to jobs you've had. I know that I have never had a job where I've been able to phone my boss and say, hey, I'm not going to be in today or probably this week because I'm just feeling really out of alignment with my role at the moment. And I need to really feel into why that might be coming up for me. So I'm going to meditate, I'm going to take some time out for self-care, and I'll see you in about a week. Does that sound good? How many of you could have had a conversation with a boss like that and not got the sack? Because I know damn straight that I'd have been sacked from any job I've ever had, whether it be senior management or middle management or low level dog's body. Any job I had, I would have been out the door at the first sign of that bullshit. But I would never have done it because I'd show up for the person that's paying me. So why would you not show up for you? Because if you're saying stuff like that, that's stopping you from building your business, because that's what you should be doing if you're calling yourself an entrepreneur or a CEO. If you're saying that shit to yourself, you're just making excuses. You are just making excuses and calling it something different. And there's a lot of that. There's so much of that going on right now. This is why I'm saying, like, if you're doing some of these things, you can just stop doing all this and it will give you the edge, because so many people are doing it and calling themselves entrepreneurs. The other thing that comes up a lot is in the NHS, no fucking chance. I've been doing this now for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months and it's not working. Cue, tantrum and blame. There's so much of this entitlement when it comes to building a business. I've been trying this thing now for 3 months and it's not brought in the amount of money or leads or success that I wanted. So now I'm going to throw myself on the ground like a child and cry and then start looking to blame and lash out. And it's bullshit. The thing is about being a CEO is the buck stops with you. So we have to be able to take responsibility for our own business, our own lives, without pointing fingers and blaming other people for our lack of success. If your husband doesn't support you, then there's only so long you can say my husband doesn't support me and that's why I can never be a success, before you have to decide as a CEO to own that and say, I'm allowing this to stop me, I'm allowing this to hold me back. What decisions do I need to make? What conversations do I need to have so that I can no longer use that as my story? If you're, I don't know, who else might, blaming anything or anyone for your circumstance, it's not the habits or attitudes of a high achiever. Here's what I know for sure. If you're somebody that's listening to me today that is really serious and you get a new husband and that is a way, and you know that you're not just saying that you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you're not just calling yourself a CEO, but you are a CEO. All you need to do is act like it in a world that's really not acting like it right now. And that's my belief. And that's all I've done. Really, when we strip back all the bullshit, doesn't mean to say that I haven't invested in myself in a spiritual sense, in a mindset sense. I have. But I've never done it to the detriment of taking action and sticking to the good old-fashioned principles of building a business with processes and strategies that work. We are surrounded right now by people who call themselves entrepreneurs when what they really are is consumers, consuming the content of real entrepreneurs. Lots of people out there right now aren't actually building a business, they're just gathering information. So they'll buy this, consume it, gather all the information, and then not master it, not implement it correctly, not get results with it, then move on to consuming the next thing. And then when they've consumed that and they know now what this person teaches, I haven't mastered it, I haven't got results, then I'm going to move on and consume the next thing. That's consumerism. It's not entrepreneurship, and it won't build a business anytime soon. It's not about knowing stuff. It's about actioning stuff, getting results, testing, banging your head up a brick wall sometimes because you're not good enough to get the results, and striving to be better and doing it over and over and over again, and then going, yes, I fucking nailed it. And now I've got results, and now I'm an entrepreneur. But just consuming information, consuming more and consuming more, makes you a consumer of the entrepreneurs that are selling it. It's not smart. But we're surrounded by consumers. You might even spot a bit of consumerism in yourself. And it's time to start executing, actioning, mastering. Not being a training junkie, love that. Yeah, so true. So, the 3 things that I know we should be focusing on instead of all of that bullshit is my ABC model. And I call it ABC because the letters correlate to the teaching, but also because it is really as simple as ABC, 1, 2, 3. All we need to do and focus on being an absolute badass at is action taking. That's what the A stands for. B, basic problem solving. C, conflict resolution. Because I will guarantee you 3 things. To have a successful business, you need to take a shitload of action. You can't just learn about it, talk about it, think about it. You have to do it. You have to. And you have to do lots of it. You have to be able to solve basic problems. Comment below with A, B, C, because I want this to really, really stick in your head. When you start getting distracted by the latest essential oil that's going to solve all your problems, just come back to a minute to a bit of realism, action taking, basic problem solving, and conflict resolution. Because here's what I can promise you. You will need to take action. You will encounter so many problems that you will need to be able to solve as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And you will never avoid conflict living your best life, running an organisation. So you'll have to get good at resolving it. And if you can do those 3 things and you can do them well, take action, solve problems, resolve conflict, you can do those 3 things, you will achieve all of your goals. You will have the edge over your competitors and the people that have gone loco in business, and you will get the results that you want. But it's about focusing on the right things. Let's look at A, B, and C. So, taking action. Just outwork everybody else. Now, I'm not saying this to you in an unhealthy way. I'm not saying to you that you should live in burnout and be working morning, night till you're bleary-eyed and never taking any time for you, because that's not healthy. But it's also not healthy to expect to have balance from day one and have it all from day one. Let me tell you something. 12 years ago, when I embarked on this journey of self-development and I knew fuck all, and I had no knowledge, no experience, no real-time results, where I lacked in skill, I had to make up in work ethic. What takes me 10 minutes now probably took me 10 hours then, because I hadn't got a Scooby-Doo what I was doing. So in the beginning, you have to make up with work ethic and time where you lack in skill. You can't expect to look at somebody that has 10 years on you, that's making it look easy, and then start stamping your feet when it doesn't come as easy as it appears to come to them. Because you aren't them. You don't have the same skill, experience, attributes, attitude, disciplines, and everything else in between that person has with 10 years on you. So they might be able to build a business with results that you can only dream of with ease, flow, and balance. If you're a newbie, you can't. And that's the truth. You have to be prepared to outwork most people to be successful, to get to a place where you no longer have to really do that. If you're thinking, I can spend most of my day at the gym, meditating, meeting friends, sacrifice no time at all with the family, children, and learn how to be an entrepreneur, execute my learning and get results, and still feel completely calm and relaxed all of the time with a spotless house and my nails freshly manicured, you're having a laugh. Like, you are not being realistic, and that's the truth. So when you see adverts or messages in the world saying, you know what guys, it should just feel easy, and it can be easy, and you can be in flow and in balance all of the time and not have to sacrifice anything, they're trying to get you money. The truth is, in the beginning, if you lack in skill, you have to make it up in time and work ethic. Just work through your fears. Take action through fear. You can't call your boss and say, I can't come in today because I'm really fucking scared of some of the things that you expect me to do. So I'm going to work with my mindset coach for the next month before I take any more action until I show up. You wouldn't get away with that. You have to show up and be the best employee. Most people that leave jobs or want to leave jobs and start a business that are the best employees are the shittest entrepreneurs, because they just don't apply that basic employee mentality to their own business. They don't show up for themselves as much as they would show up for their boss. They don't. Because you can't sack yourself, you can kid yourself and you can make excuses up to yourself and you'll end up letting yourself off, but in real terms you're not getting the results that you would get for that big corporation over here. Like, you work harder for somebody else's business than you do for your own. You make way more excuses for your own business than you would ever expect to be tolerated in somebody else's. You've got to work through fears, you've got to work through challenges sometimes. We can't stop and spend hours talking about our problems and expect our business to grow as a result. Yes, you might work with a mindset coach alongside taking action, but if you're just talking about why it's scary and you're not actually doing it, you're never really going to get over it. You have to work through problems sometimes, you have to work through fears sometimes, and it can be the best medicine. Showing up is half the battle, Natasha, absolutely. Just refuse to down tools. Just refuse to stop. Be relentless in your pursuit of success. Do you know what? I was listening to a podcast this morning. It was with Tony Robbins and Mike Tyson, and I've got quite a negative impression of Mike Tyson. I just thought, God, he bit someone's ear off. He's obviously crazy. Not somebody I'd ever really look up to or aspire to be like in any way. But you know, shame on me, because I listened to his podcast today, and there's one thing that he said in this interview that just struck a chord with me. And he was on about how difficult fights are, and he was on about how hard they can be mentally and physically. And Mike Tyson went, they're not hard. The fights are easy because the training is where it's hard. By the time he gets to the fight, he said, like, I was like so pumped up, I'd knock him out in round one and be like, shit, I've got all this energy left, because he trained so hard for the fight. It's not about the fight, it's not about the prize, it's not about reaching the goal, it's about what you do between. You've got to just be relentless. You've got to be doing what most people wouldn't be prepared to do. And that's the truth in the early days, because so many people will just not take action. So many people will stop and twiddle their thumbs for a little bit and think they need to work on their mindset, say out loud they need to work on their mindset. And you just need to refuse to down tools. Just logic, common sense. Just refuse to be that person. I honestly don't know how people have time for some of the things they have time for. And it's because I'm too busy taking action. Do you know the amount of people that will say things to me like, oh my God, Michelle, do you know what such and such has been saying about you? Or, oh God, did you see this about that person? Like a bit of gossip. And I'm like, fuck no, I don't give a fuck. Because while they're there talking about that shit, I've been over here building a business, and we'll see who's laughing last. Because it's just not important. And honestly, if you've got time to talk about that, you're not building a business. If I'm not building my business, then I'm having fun with my family. I've got no time for either one, for anything else other than those two things. Who has that's doing those two things well? Really? Okay. That's the A for taking action. I think I've done that to death. B, basic problem solving. Do you know what? You will succeed if you just choose to solve basic problems. Find the basic solutions to basic problems, where most people will allow those basic problems to stop them completely. So here's what most people do. I've been doing sales call after sales call and no one's buying. Now I'm going to sit and think about that for a while. I'm going to go round in circles and wonder why. I'm going to stop having the sales calls. Rather than going, there's clearly something wrong here, there's a problem, I'm not converting. There's obviously a really simple solution to this. Why am I not converting? What book do I need to read to find the answer? Whose help do I need to get to find the answer? What statistics can I analyse to work out? Can I record them, listen back to them, and listen to myself from the third perspective and kind of say, what am I saying here that's giving off the wrong impression? Where specifically am I losing people? how does that compare to who's someone else who does it really successfully? And solve this basic problem with a really basic solution, because every problem in business is pretty basic. Every one. I can't think of one complex problem that I've ever encountered that's like rocket scientist or even takes an ounce of intelligence, really. It's all pretty logic and basic. Like, my Facebook ad's not converting, so I'll just stop it and just not do it anymore, because clearly Facebook is shit. I'll be the person to out Mark Zuckerberg that he actually has the shittest marketing platform in the world, not the best. It just doesn't work. It's not working for me, therefore it doesn't work. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Or do you go, it's not working for me, what do I need to do differently? How do I need to be better? What part of the process is breaking down, which means I'm getting less for a result where other people are earning millions? Now we're asking the right questions. Most people stop when they encounter a problem. If you want the edge, find the solution. Ask the right questions and find the solution. It really is that simple, and I promise you, most problems are basic, but we just need to ask the right questions instead of the wrong questions, with the right attitude, instead of showing up with the wrong attitude of quitting too soon, it's shit, I'm not doing this anymore, or throwing a tantrum. And it's okay to have a tantrum. I mean, I have tantrums every now and then, and I'll shout and swear and scream and kick something, but then I'm like quickly composed and how do I need to get through this problem? Which brings me to point B, conflict. Conflict resolution is a huge part of being a successful CEO. You are going to encounter conflict constantly. When you're not solving a problem, you'll be putting out fires in terms of conflict, whether it's inner conflict, the conflict we have with ourselves, the voice in our head. Some people call it devil and angel. Call it what you like, it's there, isn't it? That kind of turmoil that we'll have before we take action, make a decision, second guess ourselves, all that stuff. You have that sort of conflict. And then you have the other conflicts, like the conflict with other people, whether they be people outside of business that affect your focus, like conflict with family, someone that doesn't understand you, get your business, put you down. Might even just be like really petty conflict from afar, like someone comments on your Facebook saying something nasty that hurts your feelings, or it might be bigger conflict, a competitor that hates your guts and tries to destroy you, or it might be you work with a friend and that was a bad idea and it all goes tits up, or you coach a friend as a client and that's a bad idea and that all goes tits up, or a client's just not very nice, or there'll be lots. Everything I've just mentioned I've had to deal with, everything. It's part of being a successful CEO. We've got to get good at resolving conflict. We've got to get good at putting out fires without inhaling the fumes. That's how I describe it. There will always be fires to put out as a CEO, but all you've got to do is put them out professionally, dignified, with your integrity intact, without inhaling the fumes and succumbing to the fire. Because if every time you encounter some sort of conflict in business, it cripples you, brings you to your knees, makes you doubt everything and not want to do it anymore, you're going to have a really hard time. So it's about developing the resolve, and it doesn't matter if you don't like conflict. No one really does. No one loves it, unless you, I don't know, some sort of sociopath. I don't think anybody likes it, do they? I don't think anyone thrives on it. But it's part and parcel, so we've got to learn to deal with it and progress through it. And it kind of comes back to taking action. You still have to take action through conflict. You still have to take action through problem solving. And that's why the A becomes before the B and the C, because it's the most important. Action, problem solving, conflict resolution. They're the three things in my mind that are the absolute be all and end all in a world gone absolutely loco, as we say in Spain. Okay, yes, put out the fire without inhaling the fumes. So here's what I'm going to suggest for those of you that are determined to focus on the right things, and just keep your head. Don't lose your head. Don't lose your head. And don't succumb to shitty marketing tactics and messages that tell you there's anything more important than good old-fashioned strategy and ABC. Here's what I'm going to do. I would love you and I'm going to make time for this I'm going to make time within 24 hours of you watching this, because I know people watch at different times, not everyone's watching live. So within 24 hours of watching this, and I need to know it's within 24 hours, and here's why I'm asking you to do it like this, because action is because it's the most important, right? And it's about taking action quickly without procrastination, not leaving opportunities on the table where other people will just walk past them or go meditate on them. I want you to be an action taker with me today. So in the next 24 hours, I'm going to give you an opportunity to have a brief conversation with me around your biggest challenge when it comes to A, B and C. So I want you to comment on the video and say, Michelle, I'm going to message you around A, or Michelle, I'm going to message you around B, or Michelle, I'm going to message you around C. And then from the time of commenting that, you have 24 hours to take action. Message me your biggest challenge with A, B or C. And I'm going to help you to overcome it through Inbox Messenger. I'm going to give you a tip, a strategy, a tactic that you can implement right away around your biggest struggle. Caroline's kicked off. Amazing. So that's all you need to do. And you've got 24 hours from the time of commenting. Go, go, go. I can't wait to hear from you. So you comment and then you inbox me. And I will come back to you within 24 hours of you messaging me. Thanks for listening, guys. Great to see you all, and it's so good to be back. See you next week. Oh, thanks, babe.